So did it just fall out? Or is it? It's bent. Let's go take a look. There we go. Welcome back to the channel. I know for a fact at least one of you dudes and or dudettes have been waiting and wondering, when is that old Rambler station wagon gonna hit the shop floor? Well, today is that day. So, backstory. You go back, there's a short up here, I'll put a link to it, but this old Rambler was pulled out. Well, to tell you that story, I gotta stop and start another story. So, good customer of ours and friend expanded the farming operation, their family did, and they bought a place that was just full, chocked full of junk. And there happened to be a couple cars laying around this place, and one of them was a 1962 Rambler station wagon, and I'll have to look up the trim level. I'll edit that in there. It was a fancier model. It had more trims and shinies on it than this one. Okay, so originally I was gonna pick that car up and part it out or whatever. It was a V8 car, but the motor was way locked up and the back end of the car was really rusted out. Had kind of a tree growing against it and all, you know, the usual stuff. So, but what had happened was the owner, before we got the deal all signed and delivered, the owners, they said, you know, this car, his wife got involved, and she said, I kind of like that old station wagon. I could see us enjoying our retirement years, just cruising around the neighborhood in it. And maybe we should keep it and have this guy work on it. Either way, I get to put my hands on a cool Rambler station wagon, so I'm game for whatever. Well, in the end, it kind of, things escalated. And that car is still in play. However, because it didn't run and it had some significant rot in some places that were just really problematic, all of a sudden, one day, my friend shows up at the shop picking up the carburetor and he says, I did something dumb. And I'm like, oh, I do that like multiple times a day, but what you talking about? And he says, I bought another Rambler. And it's kind of my fault because I sent him a link to one because we were talking, and the problem with some of these oddball cars is, as cool as they are and as much as you really like to save them, it's not like a square body truck or a fastback Mustang or OBS Chevy where you can build one out of a magazine. They don't make a lot of parts for these. They don't repop a lot of parts for these, like body panels and glass and that kind of stuff. And so I had kind of told this gentleman that to do it it might be a situation where you need a parts car and you make 1 out of 2 type thing. And then I sent him this link and I said, here's one. It's a couple states away, but they're out there. And that's basically all I said. And then lo and behold, he buys the thing, gets it shipped down here. So we're giddy up. We're thumbs up on this rescue and restoration. So this is not the car that came on his property. This came from Minnesota. It's got the proof screwed onto the back of it and front of it. 1968 was the last time this thing was registered. And folks, back in the Dre, this is even before the Dre, they didn't run plates for several years at a time. And so the last time this car probably ran legally on the road was, I would say, 68, 69, 70 at the latest. And we put a clicky-clack fuel pump on it, rebuilt the carburetor, jumpered some wires, and it runs. Now it doesn't run great. This is a 6-cylinder car. It's down 1, but it runs. And then seems like the clutch is seized up in it. It is a 3 on the tree car, but we're able to start it in reverse, start it in forward. It goes in the gears, and the rear end works, the drivetrain works, the engine pretty much works. So that's why, for the most part, and this one's way cleaner body wise. Now it's going to still be needed for a lot of parts, but this is going to be the foundation for the rescue slash restoration slash build. So hasn't been run in at least 55 ish years, and it's running again, sort of, or it did a few months ago. So fast forward, we make a plan, and this is where we're at. It's been here for at least a month, waiting for some things to kind of get out of the way and for some room to be made. But now it's in the shop. We're going to get started. So this is also a 62 model. Let me see if I can remember. Right over here. Here we go. Rambler Wagon. This is the classic version, and I want to say it's like a country, something country fancy version that we messed with. That's the other one. That's the other donor. 6-cylinder. You can see we changed on the oil. If you could see under there, you'd see a newisher looking carburetor because we cleaned it up and rebuilt it. And then yeah, the owner, proud new owner, pressure washed just the heck out of this thing. It was really greasy, so we appreciate that. In fact, I'm just gonna go off on a tangent here and say the guys that rescue and rebuild this stuff, I mean, if you can bring them a car in this condition, he not only cleaned the engine compartment all up, but he gutted the whole thing. Ignore that because we're going to fix it. Hole over there as well. But he gutted the whole dang car minus the headliner and pretty much cleaned it out pretty nice. And that makes for a lot less grossness and headaches for your mechanic slash rebuilder guy or gal. So that's where we're at. 62 wagon, 6-cylinder, 3 on the tree, rolls. I'm pretty sure he had to disable the brakes, like tear the insides of the drum brakes out to get it to this state and make it roll. It's just got roller tires on it now. And this is going to be, you know, the building blocks for a really cool cruise around the countryside build. So where do we start? Well, we're going to backtrack just a little bit. We're going to revisit Mr. Engine here and get it to run again. So we need a clicky clack and a fuel can and some jumper wires and a battery. we'll have that run. I want to hear that run again. Maybe some things kind of loosened up. I doubt it. Probably not, but maybe. Okay, so before we go too much further, and I won't ramble on this, but you're going to notice in this video and in some of the other ones, you know, depending on chronologically how they happened, you're going to hear background noise in the form of several baby kittens in that gray tote right there, with the watchful eye Mackie the shop dog watching over him. Now Buster the shop cat's in here somewhere too. There he is, but he's mostly nice and quiet, and you won't too often hear him. And quite frankly, you know, as a fixed male cat, the children's over there really are just freaking him out. But yeah, go to our social medias on our Facebook. Mama Kitty placed 5 kittens in the Willys Jeep outside, and then Mama Kitty has since not been seen in 3 or 4 days. So now we're Freedom on Garage, restoration, repair, hot rods, you name it, plus kitten rescue. Mackie, you got your eye on? Good boy. Just, you're a good boy. Here's where we're at. So we got a click clack sitting down there with two wires. It's hooked up to the line off of the fuel pump that would go to the carburetor. It's a really cool old fuel pump, you guys, but I'm pretty sure it's unobtainable, and for the sake of reliability, we're probably just gonna go with a permanent clicky clack in the end, but we'll do a little more research and see what happens. We got a gas can out here waiting to get the other end of the hose from the click clack. And then we've got, by the way, these retractable test leads. Yes, that's a buy. We got them strung out over here to a battery. It took us a while to find a battery that was worth a darn. But we've got 12 volts on this thing for now. We've got our leads so we can supply power to our click clack pump. And right now we're just going to go ahead. Now we did this out in the field. Literally, the last time we got this to run, it lives. Oh, I got to get a bolt to put through there. Hang on. Okay, so let's get our test light out here. We got battery. Test light says there's at least some volts in there. And now, when you know, this thing was literally in the field next to their barn when we got it running last time in that little short video that you watched. Well, you're going to watch, either you stop this and you watch that, or you're going to watch it after this. Anywho, so it ran, but I don't think we thought to get the key. I think it was still full of junk, and we just wanted to see if it ran, so we did everything out here. We hot wired the fuel pump, we hot wired the ignition over to the coil, and got it to run and fire. But now that it's here, I'm looking inside of here, and I do have the battery connected. It's got a key in it. So let's not cool old steering wheel. Let's just turn this key if it's the right key. Oh, okay. We've got lights on in the dash. Let's see now. The next step is to go out here and take our little test light, and let's see, that should be battery power to the voltage regulator. Nothing's going on there yet because it's not turning, but we should have hopefully some power to our coil, and we got 12 there. We should have a little bit diminished but voltage coming out the back side of the coil, so that, you know, we got power to our ignition source. What we don't have is an actual starter engagement or start signal. Well, let me see. What do we got going on out here for that? We've got a green wire coming off the starter. It comes up and goes to, looks like this stud here. Is that it's not, it's off of the body, so that must be like a power distribution type thing. It doesn't have power to it now. I guess we can check for power with the key in the start position, but it might also crank. Let's see. Hang on, Bubba. Let's see what happens. Now I believe we are, and yeah, we pushed it in here, so we're in neutral. Oh. Okay then. That was the starter trying to start. Interesting. All right. Now, that wasn't a very good attempt at starting, so maybe even this battery isn't that great, because it did turn over out there. And I'm trying to bring that battery back to life. Those two both show dead. That one might be under warranty. We're going to Irish for that tomorrow. But we might have to cut charging short here and give ourselves a little boost on the car. So let's do that. Okay, so we switched batteries. This battery is marginally better. And now that we know that we can tag onto here for our starter trigger, we went ahead and put the one-man wonder switch attached to the battery and attached to that. The key is off. We don't need any key on right now, but let's just see if this thing still turns over pretty good like it was a few months ago. Okay, still got a little hitch in its giddy up. If you hear that, that means that we've got an issue with one of the cylinders not having compression. And that's okay, because you know we're gonna fix all that. I'm gonna get some of these wires off the exhaust, even though it's not gonna run that long. All right, Mackie's over there guarding kitties. Well, watching kitties. He's very intrigued. All right, so we know with the key on, we're gonna have power to the coil. When we ran it in the field, it was getting power through the points. That hasn't been that long ago, so hopefully they're still happy. And the last thing we need, air. Well, we need air. We got the air cleaner off of it, and we need fuel. Okay, we got our power lead for a fuel pump on the battery, ground on the battery. We've got our ground hooked up already. Let's go ahead and connect the power side. We've got our hose, there it goes quiet. We got our hose in the gas can. We should be filling up the fuel bowl now. Give it a healthy little starter shot there. And see, I think we had this kind of dialed in where it would idle for, but let's see here. Oh shoot, gotta have the key on. Now we should be all kinds of primed up. Let's see here. There we go. Key's on now. Acts like no spark. Alright. Let's take this off for now. I swear you guys, I just fed those darn kittens. They're so loud. Healthy, at least, huh? Alright, can you see that? There we go, let's watch. Well, here, I got the one-man wonder for a reason here. Yeah, no spark. We got the key on. So now, pop this cap off, operate those points and see what's going on. We might have to do a little sanding. You had it though. Oh, sure. Be that way, why don't you? Okay. Okay, if I manipulate them by hand, I can get a spark. Okay, so we need to sand those points a little bit is all. Get some emery cloth there. All right, we had to get a little more aggressive with the sanding, but now we're in a good place. Watch. You can hear it and see it. See that nice bright spark right there? Perfect. Okay, let's see if we got some indication of spark now. Yep, sure do. Well, that was exciting. Lit right off for us. Let's pull this guy out. Definitely still has a miss. All right, we gotta let this lousy battery charge apparently too. So in the meantime, we're gonna go in here and check what we can see. Taking the valve cover off quick. We did not do this in the field. Last time it was not the right environment for that kind of thing, but now that we're in the shop, we can. And what we're gonna look at, and even though we're trying to charge the battery, it shouldn't take too much to roll this thing over a couple of revolutions without the key on and just keep our eyes on the valve train. But if we see something up here where maybe it looks like a valve stuck, not open just a little bit, we might be able to tinker with it here while the battery's charging. That's handy. Gonna come right off for us. Maybe there's a dang engine block heater. A weird looking one over here. Oh, there we go. Alrighty then. Not too bad. There's cobwebs in there. That might be a first. But otherwise, guys, look at the inside of this valve cover. Are you kidding me? Look at that. Look at the inside of that valve cover. A little bit of sootiness and black back here. Let's set that down. And then let's look underneath the valve cover. Look how clean this is. That's not rust, that's paint. See the outside color of the head versus that? That's paint. Now maybe they put a head on sometime because it is a different color than the block, but good golly, that is clean, dudes and dudettes. All right, so what we're doing is I don't know why I didn't see this immediately. Guys, looky here. Here's our problem. We have a push rod that is not connected to our valve. So did it just fall out? Or is it? It's bent. And not broken. Huh. All right. So I wonder if the lifter is down there. Assuming we're dealing with solid lifters and not hydraulic. So it might still be down there dancing around. I can't tell. Yeah, there's still a cup down there. I'm trying to see if anything else looks kind of bent or not. Here's what we're gonna do, dudes and dudettes. We're gonna do the redneck thing. We're gonna straighten this bad ride and see if we can't put it back together. Now, why would it bend? It would bend if the valve was stuck. So the next thing we want to do, we'll take a bigger punch and our hammer, and we can even get that out of the way, and we'll come over here. Yep, this valve is not cooperating, so it needs to be worked. Whether or not it's bent, who knows? There, it's loosening up. It might just been a little sticky. It stuck once. Now it acts like it might want to behave. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to straighten that push rod, and then we're going to crank it over by hand slowly if we can get that back together. But the rest look okay. All right. Okay, this video has officially turned into intro to the 1962 AMC Rambler, and let's go ahead and fix this mess. So what we're going to do is we're going to rattle off our rocker shaft here, rocker arm shaft. All of our push rods should stay where they are, and then we're going to insert. We went over and carefully got this about as straight as we possibly can, given, you know, our limited set of tools, vices and hammers and, you know, that kind of stuff. It's pretty well straight. But if this works long term, the long term fix is going to have to be a new one because this has been compromised. But anywho, we're going to put him down into the lifter, set him up here, set everything else, and then we're going to set this rocker shaft back down. And this one, I do have a manual. That's another thing that this customer provided when he brought this car, so he was thinking ahead. But I do have a manual, so we'll check this one, this intake valve. So here's the deal. We have intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake. So this is the intake valve for cylinder number 5. Let me go get the right size, I don't think this is it, socket, and we're gonna zip zap these off. We'll torque them back down slowly and lower this back down evenly, and we should be able to keep all of our valve lash settings, you know, should be happy. And let's start kind of. Oop, that came off. I was gonna just let them up a little bit each one. Okay, all the bolts are loose. We can lift this guy up, and let's just get him out of the way so we can properly seat that push rod. Just go down. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. have a... Yeah, I'm off to the side there. Push. There it is. There we go. Okay, so we're... Oh! It started to come out of its bore a little bit. Alright. So it fell back down. Now we're good. So the lifter had come up a little ways and was partially out of the bore. And now, it appears though we're pretty happy again. Because we rubbed on some of these. A little bit of assembly lube here just because. We're going to do this again, but we certainly don't want to make the problem worse by... So we'll just... A little extra lube in there ain't going to hurt. These stands are just sitting on a machined surface. So there's no O-ring or anything like that. Go down the line here. Everybody's happy where they're supposed to. Can't see him. That one is. Yeah, he's in there. Okay. Now we'll bring these guys in. Try to go kind of straight on down without popping anybody out here. Hanging up on anybody here. He's got to go in. He's alright. He's alright. Alright, that's snugged up. Everybody's where they're supposed to be. In the end, we found a torque spec. It wasn't in the manual, but I Googleized it, and it was 25 to 30, so we torqued them at 29. Life is good. Now, to set valve lash on this, the suggestion in the manual is to set them with the engine at normal operating temperature and with a feeler gauge while it's running. So we're not going to get there anytime soon. So we're just going to roll it over by hand. We'll do 2 revolutions, and what we're looking for, we're looking right here. We thought we had her narrowed down to number 5. Maybe there's an issue with number 5, but our bent push rod was this cat here, the first one after this retaining bolt. So 1, 2, 3, 4, And this would be the intake for 4. We're not going to crank on this with the key. We're not going to try to fire it up. What we're going to do first is the crankshaft bolt on this thing is 3/4 of an inch. So I got a rudimentary mark on my crankshaft pulley. I'm going to run this around by hand 2 revolutions. And what we want to do is we want to focus, well, on all of them. So take a gander on all these, make sure they're all moving, but we're pretty sure they're happy, except for we know that this one had an issue. So let's pay close attention to that cat right there and see what happens here. If that valve sticks, or maybe it even doesn't even come back up. Nothing yet, nothing yet. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so it's pushing down. So we do have a cam lobe, and it looks like it's fairly well extended. Now let's see if that valve will come up and shut. There we're shut. Now we can come in. We can spin our push rod, so that's good. This one was starting to open. We are on the compression stroke on this cylinder. Let's go ahead and go back around. We'll run it through that one more time. And if everything still looks happy, there goes our exhaust valve. Or the intake for number 5, sorry. Let's make sure that exhaust for number 4 on the other side of that bolt works. And here it goes. It's opening. I think we're in good shape, guys. We just cycled it again. Life is good. Number 4 cylinder's happy, but run it, make sure that's the issue with that cylinder. If it is, and if we have some compression, then we're going to shut it off and we're going to order a push rod. Next day alert. Valve train is all assembled. We turned it over by hand, 2 revolutions. This intake valve for number 4 is moving, the arm's moving, the push rod is moving, and the valve is going down and is opening and closing. It appears to be in its full range of motion. So the next thing we're going to do, since we already turned it over by hand, we got the one-man wonder hooked up here to the battery. It's been charging. And we're just going to cycle this with the starter a little bit and see how it acts going just a little bit faster. Here we go. Bad connection. Try again. Here we go. All right, first off, everything's moving real nice. B, did you notice we don't have that rare? We've got compression in this cylinder now. Yeah, we might be in a pretty good spot here. We're gonna go ahead, hit the fuel pump. Where's our squirter bottle? A little spritz. Let's see. Dang it. Yeah, we're not getting good spark again. Gosh darn it. Okay. Golly, you guys. Okay, 2 days later, alert. We've got the good stuff. The Napa Eklund points. Where'd I actually put them? Nice and bright and shiny, brand new. I'm going to show you this. That's what the surface of your points should look like. And I have a feeling I know what our surfaces of these old points are going to look like when we get them out. But simple little deal here. Take your rotator off, and then this is the one time where you got to find that 1132's wrench that you don't ever use for anything else. Loosen up this nut here on the outside of this distributor, because this is actually a machine screw that goes through this insulator body here. So by loosening this nut, oh come on now, why you keep getting in my way? We should be getting some looseness on the inside too. Take our condenser post off here if we can. There, we get that one. Just slide off of there. Now we gotta get her points up. You got 2 screws. This screw's got to come all the way out. Hang on to that guy. Let's see if we can't. There's that. I slid it off of that post as well. Now the points just come up and they lift straight up off of this post that they rotate on here. There we go. Now, yeah, that's what we're dealing with right there. You shouldn't be able to see through that. That's burned completely through, and this side's all charred up as well. So that's a lot of our problem. Yeah, and some of these, what you come across with, they use an inverted nut to keep the 2 plastic pieces kind of snug, and it actually has kind of a, well here, it actually has a slotted face to it, but to really adjust on it, you'd have to pull the distributor. But you can get in here with a screwdriver. It's not super tight, shouldn't be anyway, and you can wheel this out a little bit. You only need about a turn, and then we'll have space underneath the cap of that bolt to hook our new points up. Now the points themselves, here's what we took out. Remember that this springy is pretty dang stiff. The points we got, it's copper, so it conducts really well, but it's really lightweight. But they give you the heavier springy, and you just take it and come in here underneath the copper, slide it in there like that, and then both of these will come around and sandwich. And that way your tension is the same. If you just use this copper one, it may run under idle okay, but as soon as you start getting some pretty rapid movement, it's going to be bouncing those points all over the place. Now comes the fun part. Slide these bad rides back in here and capture there. There, they're on there. Everything's behind there, everything's happy. Very good. Get the 1132 out. Lock everything down. All right. Now, while we're setting our This screw is used to manipulate our points. See that moving there? So as we're setting our gap, we can hold it with this screw while we tighten the other screw if we need to. And we are in a flat, so they should be closed. Now we're going to bump this over just a little bit. We want a rubbing plate right on one of the lobes for the distributor shaft. Now, final step, we hand rotated the engine over to a point where the rubbing block is right on the tip of one of the lobes. And we're just going to take the flap off of the old Eklund box, put it in here, and our gap is too big already. So we need to manipulate this side of the points to close that up a little bit. So to do that, we're going to come in here with this one screwdriver, and we're going to rotate this up and close that gap. And what you can do, you can leave your little business card, is what everybody says. You can just leave whatever you're using in there. You just want it to touch on both sides. And we can try to clamp this down. It might move a little bit though. Let's see. Yeah, we loosened up just a little bit. Okay, that's too tight. Right there. Just like your gap and spark plugs. Only you're using a chunk of cardboard as your reference. I like it. Double check with the eyeball. Looks really good. That's points. Now, can you set dwell? Yeah, you can. I'm going to be honest with you dudes and dudettes. I don't even own a dwell meter anymore. If we were to get this thing running and it had a little hickety up in the ignition, we would probably go ahead and do that. But for the most part, you know, unless you're talking really high performance stuff, set them with a business card or the flap off your points box, and you will be happy for 99.99% of the time that you run this engine. Okay, we slapped the cap back on, put our plug wires on. We do still have our spark tester, inline spark tester plugged in down here. So I'm going to turn the key on. We'll crank her with the starter and see if we're lighting up our spark tester here. It may spit just a little bit. Shouldn't be too bad though. Well, that's much better already. Holy moly, you guys. It liked that quite a bit. Let's take you out. We got really nice spark now. I'll plug him in there. All the push rods are still connected. Let's hook up a fuel pump. Fuel pump, engage. It's just a little bit of prime. This might be pretty happy. Here we go. cow, you guys. Wow. I mean, okay, look behind it. Not a whisper. I mean, not a whisper of smoke. I mean, I am fairly easily amazed, but we are talking, dudes and dudettes, 1968 was the last time this thing had legal license plates on it. So 50 some years since it's run reliably and regularly, and it's been sitting somewhere up in Minnesota. And you're telling me fix the push rod, we got compression back in our cylinder, obviously it's gonna start and run like that. This is outstanding. All right, I'm gonna take a little short video with my phone and send it to the customer. He's gonna go nuts. And then yeah, we gotta make a plan. So I think probably we're just gonna get a new radiator. I talked to him the other day, and that's kind of where he was leaning at that time. We'll see. There's also the other car that has a radiator in it, but who knows the condition of that. So we're going to take some measurements off of this and see what's out there. But otherwise, my recommendation is going to be simply, I've already rebuilt the carburetor. The clutch is frozen to the flywheel. We can't use the clutch to get the thing in and out of gear. But my recommendation is going to be, let's go ahead and pull the engine transmission, split them apart, fix the clutch issue, and we'll get a gasket and seal kit for this engine. And we're just going to clean it all up really nice, seal it all up and gasket it all up, do the water pump, probably just block off the fuel pump unless I can find one, but I'm pretty sure I already looked once or twice and it just ain't happening. But gosh dang it, guys, let's end this one here. What a high note for, that's really cool. I'm sorry, it's just friggin' cool. Let's start it up again and just let it sit here and you can watch it idle. This is pretty freaking amazing. Hey, and by the way, if you like this stuff, you're getting something out of it, you're enjoying the content, click like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we really appreciate you watching.